Well, good morning, everyone. How are you? How's everybody doing? I'm glad that you have joined us for this presentation, Senior Engagement During COVID-19, which doesn't seem to be going away quickly. So a little bit about myself. My name is Liz Cornish, and I am a physical therapist. I have a physical therapy degree from Springfield College. I have over 30 years experience as a physical therapist working in home care, assisted living, and memory care communities throughout Connecticut. I am also a certified dementia care specialist, and I am the owner of New Season in Life. We are senior care consultants, and I started my business a few years ago as I realized that as people were aging, they weren't getting full all the information. So they get parts of information from their doctor or from a friend or from a family member, and nobody kind of tied everything together. So we help seniors and their families kind of navigate the world of healthcare, and especially the worlds of assisted living and memory care senior living communities. So everybody's familiar with the coronavirus and COVID-19 and the word pandemic. But what we're realizing is that we have now this invisible pandemic kind of going on. And for years, experts have known that seniors, especially in the United States, are experiencing high rates of social isolation and loneliness. It's been a silent problem, but it has incredible harmful effects. And they've equated it, according to US News World Report article, to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The damaging effects that it can have both physically and mentally on our seniors. And then with the nationwide spread of COVID, forcing travel restrictions, closures of just about everything, community centers, not being able to get together with family and friends, advocates are warning that social distancing is resulting in a second but invisible pandemic with our seniors. So social isolation. Social isolation is associated with an increased risk of dementia by 50% in seniors. It leads to poor social relationships, and it gives an increased 29% increased risk of heart disease and a 32% increased risk of stroke. Loneliness was associated with higher rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide throughout all age groups, but increasingly in seniors as well. And loneliness among heart failure patients was associated with a nearly 4 times increased risk of death, 68% increased risk of hospitalization, and a 57% increased risk of emergency department visits. And obviously during COVID-19, we want to keep people out of the hospitals, even if you're not going in for any coronavirus related events. We just want to make sure people stay out as much as possible so we don't increase your risk of the coronavirus. So the health benefits of adult socialization are: socialization reduces stress. It decreases their seniors' anxiety level. It leads to improved cardiovascular health and stronger immune systems, which allows them to fight off all infections, including the coronavirus. Healthy socialization leads to longer lifespans, increased fitness levels. Studies have shown that adults with diverse social supports are more likely to exercise regularly, which, as we all know, exercise will lead to a host of physical and mental benefits. It also reduces the risk of depression. The studies are showing that increased socialization decreases the likelihood that seniors will experience isolation, loneliness-induced depression. And I know currently working in the assisted living communities and in the community at large as a home care physical therapist, I see seniors that are isolated, and I see the increased risk of depression that is happening throughout our communities. And then improved socialization leads to increased self-esteem and a sense of self-worth. And the self-worth component is key, because as we age, we actually, as we start into adulthood, everybody wants to have this sense of self-worth, a sense of purpose. And then as we age, many times seniors feel that their sense of self-worth or their sense of purpose has decreased. And they are not able to physically maybe do some of the things that they were able to do before, and they feel that they're not as useful. And what I try and tell people, both as a physical therapist and in my role as senior care consultant, is that your self-worth may have changed from more of physical manifestation of self-worth, but that the seniors that I deal with have such incredible wisdom and such a wide breadth of knowledge, because they've lived way longer than we have. And so their self-worth, they need to realize that their self-worth may not be tied to their physical mobility and those types of things, but they have incredible self-worth and incredible purpose, and we need to be able to tap into that purpose and that self-worth. So cognitive benefits of senior socialization, it just keeps seniors stimulated, mentally sharp, and intellectually engaged, and helps prevent general decline, including memory loss, Alzheimer's disease, and other forms of dementia. The studies are showing now that the more we stay engaged socially as we age, the less risk we have of developing forms of dementia, including Alzheimer's. So being able to stay engaged during this time of COVID is just vitally important. And when we stay engaged and when we're social with activities that include exercise in groups, either at senior centers or at the YMCAs, where they have those exercise groups, the physical and cognitive benefits are both increased significantly. So the studies have shown that while exercising individually is great for us physically and mentally, when we do exercise in groups, the benefits just are exponentially better. So what are some of the triggers that may lead to social isolation and decreased engagement? Some of those triggers are disruption to routines. Routines for everybody is important, right? We typically like to get up and get our showers and get our breakfast and do those things, and we typically do them at a pretty standard, predictable routine. And with this disruption with COVID, our routines have just kind of gone out the window, and people aren't able to do their go to their exercise classes or go out to lunch with friends or engage in the way that they have been. And that disruption to daily routines can be a trigger for people, especially for seniors, to fall into a more of depression and loneliness and isolation. Also a heightened sense of disconnection. We just are hearing so much about how we need to stay away from everybody and can't get together, and we need to quarantine, and seniors can often feel this diminished sense of connection to people and to the purposes that they once lived for. They can't see their grandchildren. We can't see and hug our families, and that disconnectedness is often a trigger for disengagement and loneliness. And then we all know that seniors are affected more severely by COVID than any other age group, and this causes fear. Seniors are very worried about getting coronavirus, and rightly so. Many seniors that I work with are afraid to go out and be social with other people. They're afraid to talk to their families, to even have people in the same household together. And so that affects a senior's ability to cope with stress and can really exacerbate their feelings of loneliness and isolation, this increased worry. And many of us have that worry gene anyway, so we tend to worry about things more than we probably need to. But with the coronavirus, that really increases that sense of worry. And then the experience of loss. And for many older people, the loss of a spouse, a friend, or a loved one becomes more frequent of an experience. People are passing, and whether it's from coronavirus or whether it's just of natural causes, as we age, that's one thing we'll experience more of. There are other types of losses as well, including physical capability and self-reliance, financial independence, and those types of things. And those losses are very, very real, and people experience them. And with COVID now, we're not able to get together and discuss those losses and talk to family members and share and cry on each other's shoulders and kind of move through that grieving process. And that loss can get bigger than it needs to get, and can lead to more loneliness and isolation feelings. With all those, we have incredible, valuable opportunities. Knowing the triggers, if we are seniors, if you are a senior, knowing those triggers, there's things that you can look out for and be aware of. And then if you are a family member of a senior, we have valuable opportunities to be aware of those triggers and to do things to lessen the impact of those triggers of loneliness and isolation. So some of the valuable opportunities that we have are that we can check on our loved ones via either the phone or video chat like we're doing right now, asking them how they're doing, asking what challenges they're facing. Has their routine changed? Do you have a family member who normally is up at 7 o'clock and dressed, eat, shower, shaved, and dressed and ready to go by 8 o'clock, and now they're sleeping until 10 o'clock in the morning? Well, that's a significant change in routine, and there's probably a reason behind that. So you may want to dig into the reason that their routines have changed in this time. And then how are they coping? How are they coping with the fear and stress? And let's be very, very honest that there's a lot of fear that centers around COVID-19, and there's a lot of stress that comes with that. Whether you have had COVID-19 or know somebody who has had COVID-19, or whether you're just hearing about it on the television. One thing I tell people all the time is, remember that the television is there to ultimately to make money. Yes, it gives you news, but it is there ultimately to make money, and fear sells. So a lot of what we hear on television sources may be just the snippet and not the total, true, full story. So a lot of times, I know in my household, we've gone to really not watching a whole lot of news, because we were finding that even ourselves, as we watched more and more, we were getting into this panic and not going into a healthy situation. So we kind of turned it off. And not that we're living in a bubble by any stretch of the imagination, but the constant bombardment can really increase that stress level and that fear. So just watching how much of the news we are watching is something that we need to be aware of. And that's an easy fix. We can turn it off. If you're a family member, expressing the appreciation for your relationship. and that helps to support people's sense of purpose, asking for people's opinions, and for their guidance or help. As I said earlier, our seniors have just an incredible wealth of wisdom and knowledge, and advice that they can give, and sometimes they don't even realize they have that until we start asking them for questions, for guidance and opinions, and discussing things with them. So letting your senior loved one or any loved one in your family know how much you admire them, the things that you admire about them, asking for their opinion, their guidance on anything that you have throughout your day, also helps to build people's sense of purpose. And then to frequently remind your loved one how important he or she is to you. We tend to take more for granted the ones that are closest to us. So our family, whether it's parents, aunts, or uncles, let them know how much they mean to you. Let them know how important they are to you. And if they are in a situation where they should not be out and about in the stores and those types of things, offer to pick up groceries for them, other essentials that they may need, or cook them a meal. You can cook the meal and leave it, and they can pick it up on their doorstep. We can do these things without having the physical contact if we need to avoid that. Another thing is to just watch out for any decline that you might see. Any decline physically, any decline cognitively that you might see, and then to seek out professional advice or medical care. Home care therapists are still available. They're still coming into the homes. Physical therapists, occupational therapists, nurses are still coming into the homes. We are doing medical visits, well care. We are helping people to stay healthy physically. There are psychologists and counselors that are doing counseling services via Zoom calls. So there's medical advice and there's professional advice out there if you start to see a decline. The one thing we want to be very careful of in this time of COVID is not to neglect, excuse me, not to neglect other areas because we're too afraid of COVID. So we want to make sure that we're getting the medical care and the counseling care that we need, and we can do that with a lot of innovative technologies that have come up because of this that we'll cover a little bit later. We can do this through technology without even having to have physical contact. Focusing on physical activity. This is a great one. Just because coronavirus has increased, if you have the availability to get out and take a walk, get out and take a walk. Walking is a great exercise to give you fresh air, give you the physical exercise. You can wave to your neighbors across the street without having close physical contact, but then also having some social engagement by seeing neighbors. So whether it's getting out and taking a walk, or whether it's doing some exercise in your home, or on a Zoom platform or a virtual platform, all those, we want to keep our physical activity high. That will help us build immunity, that will help us cognitively and physically stay healthy and well. And then take advantages of creative outlets. Now people's schedules have lifted a little bit, and so we have a little bit more time. Maybe go back to music that you used to love. Pull out an old instrument that you used to play and try and take that up again. It's a perfect time to do some art, to do some crafting. I met with a woman actually 2 days ago, and she was 96 years old, and she said, you know, she's very, very active, but the coronavirus has decreased her ability to get out and go around and have lunch with her friends. So she got her old sewing machine out again, and she's doing a lot of quilting, and she's donating her quilts to family and friends and communities, people that are looking for donations at this time, and the stuff she is doing is absolutely amazing. So rekindling some of those creative outlets that may have kind of been on the back burner, woodworking, for people, any of those types of things that you can rekindle your creative side. And engaging in online opportunities for learning, we're going to cover that a little bit in a couple more slides in a little more detail. Tapping into spiritual communities. Many churches and synagogues are back having services. They are socially distanced. They're using their not only their sanctuaries, but their community rooms so that people can be safely distanced apart and still have some spiritual connection. And then cognitive games and exercises, things such as puzzles and Sudoku, online cards or chess, word finding puzzles, anything like that that keeps your brain active and thinking and challenged, are all great opportunities during this time where we need to kind of be a little bit more isolated. Virtual get-togethers with the whole family or with a group of friends. We're gonna cover this a little bit in more detail, but virtually getting together with people, enjoying happy hour book club or catching up with one another. Those are great things. Writing or sending emails, or writing letters, good old-fashioned writing letters. We've lost that art, and I think people love to get letters. They love to get that handwritten message. So sending letters, writing emails, just touching base with people is a great way to continue to have an opportunity to connect. Another thing is to dive into a genealogy project or work on assembling your family tree. This is a time where we can introspectively think about our family and ourselves, and what a great legacy to provide for your family if you put together your family tree. Take a look at your genealogy and maybe learn some different things about your family history. And then consider ways to support others from home or to volunteer. If you sew, sewing masks, making meals. I have a gentleman that I'm working with who makes wooden toys. And so he has increased the time that he's spending making these wooden toys, and he's donating them to centers that are collecting toys for kids and for families in need. So anything that you can do, making meals for the people that are in need. I know our family, we make, and through New Season in Life, we make meals weekly for our a local homeless community. So making a meal for people, and any form of service that you would do. Maybe it's making a meal for a neighbor that might be in need or struggling. So volunteer activities are always a great way to give back while we have the time to be able to do that. So using technology, people tell me, oh, no, my mother was never able to use a computer or a tablet, and I let them know that that's just not true. I have so many seniors that are now using technology, using their computer, or their family got them a tablet, and they're now being able to stay connected with their families, connected with their communities, connected with their doctors, their churches, through this technology. There is a learning curve, but it can be done. So having technology available for your senior, doing virtual calls and hangouts, just calling up and being able to see your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle's face, and them to be able to see yours, and just hanging out and having a discussion, whether it's a 10-minute call or whether it's an hour and a half call with the whole family. I know many families are doing weekly Zoom calls. So that's something that we do in our family because we're spread out. And so we have weekly calls and catch up with them, make sure everybody's doing okay, see how we can help each other out. Social media engagement. Facebook is a great tool for families to use. You can create a private Facebook group for just your family and be able to share pictures that remain private. This is a great way for you to reminisce of old pictures that people find, and they can post those in your family group and be able to talk about those and comment on those and relive those older, those past experiences. We talked about email communication, online or virtual book clubs, storytelling. Virtual book clubs are becoming very large again, and if you love to read, that's a great thing to get involved in. Just like a regular book club, only you don't get together physically in one spot. You are virtual, and you read your book and then you discuss that virtually. And then storytelling is another thing that has come up with this, and it's kind of an interesting thing that I found many people have enjoyed doing. And what you do is you find a prompt or a picture, and it could be anything, a picture of a sunrise over a lake, and you put that out and everybody writes just a few sentences about what that picture, how that picture speaks to them. And then you assemble all those sentences together and it comes out in this story. And sometimes it's very funny and sometimes it's kind of moving. It's sort of like the old Mad Libs from when I was a kid, only with full paragraphs and sentences. So just some fun things to do with that. Videos, exercise videos and exercise classes. Many of the exercise classes have gone online. Many are free. There are a ton of exercise classes, whether it's chair yoga, chair Pilates, all kinds of different exercise classes that are out there for free for seniors, and be able to take those classes. And you can do those virtually too, so that there may be somebody that's running a live class, and you can join into that class virtually. Another great thing is opportunities for learning and education. Again, there have popped up to have many online opportunities for learning, whether it's through your library. I know the libraries have a ton of different online learning and education classes and opportunities for you to do that, but there are also other ones. You can travel the world now virtually. You can go and see museums virtually, and many of these are free. So if you would like some specific websites, I have a list of free online opportunities for education and travel virtually. If you would like that, you just let me know and I can email you a list of those websites. And then we talked a little bit about medical and counseling appointments. Doctors are doing telehealth visits now. So I've had many of our clients have met with their doctors virtually over their iPads or their computers. The iPads work really great because we can show the doctor, we can take the iPad and we can turn it and show them if there's something on your arm that's bothering you or your foot that's bothering you. We can actually show the doctor the body part that is the issue, and you can talk to them. Again, counseling again is available online as well. Shopping online, you can have your groceries delivered to your doorstep. And then church services and small groups. So there are many churches now that are doing small groups. So there's groups of, a few people from 4 to 10 people that get together virtually and share through their faith in small groups throughout the week. And now holiday specific ways to remain engaged. Singing Christmas carols. If you have a Christmas or a Hanukkah tradition that you do, whether it's singing Christmas carols, you can still do it. You can do it on virtual platforms such as Zoom. Zoom everybody in, sing your Christmas carols, playing the piano, playing the guitar, singing, having Christmas together. Last year we had family that had moved to Texas, and some had moved to Colorado. And so for Christmas we had an ugly sweater contest, and we actually Zoomed both of them in for the entire 4 hours that we were together. They wore their ugly sweaters, they voted on our ugly sweater contest, and we actually took our Christmas family picture together with the iPad in the front, so they were all together with us virtually. So you can have those opportunities to continue your family traditions. Having meals together virtually. Have your Christmas. If you can't be with your family, if you're a senior, you can't be with your family, virtually get together with them. Enjoy dinner together with them, just not in the same room. Again, opening presents together, watching a movie together. Netflix, I know now has this group feature where you can all watch a movie together and it starts and stops at the same time. Sharing recipes together, or cooking your holiday meals together, sharing those recipes, providing guidance. If you're a senior, providing guidance to your family for those little special things that you do with your recipes to make them absolutely fabulous. And again, attending church services together virtually. These are all ways that we can enjoy the holidays together, stay engaged, stay in a community, even if that community isn't physically able to be in the same room with us. So new season in life, how can we help? Again, we are senior care consultants. If you are finding that you're having trouble, you're finding that things are slipping, or you're noticing some of those triggers, we can help to get you connected with the appropriate professional people. We can help get connected with communities. If you are looking at senior living communities, we can help with that as well. And we can come out and do home safety evaluations, and we have other partnerships that we can also provide to you. And our services are free. We do not charge our clients for our services. So if you feel that you may need some help during this coronavirus COVID season, staying engaged, or ideas or websites, please feel free to reach out to me. And my information is here, and I can provide you with websites. I can provide you with guidance for this duration during coronavirus. And are there any questions?